Okay guys, we're in my neighbor's yard here, and this bucket, this is the first time this tree has ever been tapped. This bucket is completely full, so we're actually just going to change this one out into one of the buckets that I brought here. So give me a minute and we'll show you what it looks like when we get back in the house. So guys, we are back. These are our buckets. As you can tell, this one was literally overflowed. That was from the largest tree, coincidentally. And these are from the smaller ones. To put this into perspective, this bucket is 32 pounds, I guess, with the icing. But my guess is this holds probably about 3 or 4 gallons in size. As you can tell, this stuff is going to be pretty amazing. It's literally like water. There isn't anything in there. Even if you taste it, tastes just a little bit sweet. You can't tell if you really didn't know. But we're going to put this on the stove and get this thing going. So stay tuned. Hey guys, and finally got the maple sap onto the stove. It's going to be a while. The ratio that is probably correct is about 40 to 1. For every 40 gallons of sap, you're going to get about 1 gallon of syrup. The goal is to get the temperature of these up to 219 degrees. That is where maple syrup becomes maple syrup. Kind of before that, it's like a sugary water. That's when, at 219 degrees, that's when the water has burned off, and really what is left is actually the maple sugar, and just a little bit of water, enough to make it kind of syrupy or runny. So as you can see, I don't know, 6:47 here on the clock. Tonight's going to be a long night, but my house is going to smell wonderful and like breakfast. So stay tuned. I'm not going to bore you with a whole lot more details. Literally recap of what we did. Tap the trees, wash your equipment, etc. Get the trees tapped, put your buckets on, wait about 48 hours. Step 2, collect your sap in your buckets. I still have 3 more to go get, which I'm going to do right now, and start your boiling process. You can do it in any number of ways. What I like to do, I like to get 2 big ones, and then I like to get the sap down and boil it, into a smaller bucket or smaller pot. That tends to work. I might even set up the burner outside, just because the volume that we got this year is pretty intense. So thanks for watching Three Rivers Outdoors, our maple syruping episode, and hopefully we'll be back with something that looks a lot more like syrup instead of water. Stay tuned, guys. So I gave in and decided to go with the 3rd pot too, so we can get done quicker. And man, oh man, tonight we are going to burn some natural gas. Thank God for that Marcellus shale. Hey guys, so we've done all our steps. We cleaned all of our equipment with hot soapy water. We've tapped the trees. We've waited about 48 hours, and we came up with what I believe to be about 12 gallons worth of sap. Now the general rule of thumb is sap boils down from 40 to 1 ratio. So 40 gallons of sap is going to give us about 1 gallon of syrup. So that's a pretty good take, but we've got a lot of work. As you can see, it's about 7:10 right now. Here's my pro tip though. Rather than put it in your wife's or your girlfriend's big soup pot, go get yourself a couple of these cheap roaster pans from like a Restaurant Depot. The more surface area you have, the better it is, and you will find that that does definitely work a little bit better, a little bit faster. Of course, your finishing pot, you're going to want like a low-sided, something that's easy to keep an eye on, because it will boil down quick. Don't fall asleep. A couple years ago, believe it or not, I was napping watching Fox News, and my maple syrup caught fire, and it was not pretty. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I had black smoke throughout my whole house. That was the worst experience of my entire life. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to keep an eye on this. You'll start to see a color change, but I'm going to give you guys just a quick look underneath too, so you can kind of see what's going on. Thank God for all that Marcellus shale out here, because this is a cheap way for us to do it, a little bit cheaper than a propane tank, in fact. So thanks for tuning in to the Three Rivers Outdoors maple syrup episode. I think you're going to like it. Just stay tuned for a couple more minutes, hours maybe, and we should have a little bit of color change for you to see. Thanks. Hey everybody, it is now about 10 after 12, and to put this into perspective, we went back to a pod because the funny thing is with the stove, I don't know if you can see it, but like the burners got red hot, and these guys, little knobs, got to the point where they were so hard to turn because of the heat that we had to move back to like a burner far away from them. So we are actually back here in this pot, and you can see a little bit of the difference in the color. I want to warn you, again, like pro tip so to speak, the inside of your microwave or whatever you have above will melt. I don't know if you can see that, but like right here, it started to droop because of the heat. When you have 4 pots or 4 pans running, it is a lot. Now, we still have probably about 2.5 hours to go. This is going to get shut off tonight here in about 20 minutes. The minute I get too tired of the news. But this is a picture, a good representation of the color. You go from clear, it looks like water, to this like, I wouldn't even call it apple juice yet, but when you get to that stage, you know you're getting close. So this is the next stage after, well, I don't know, like 6 hours of boiling. I think we did 3 gallons of sap, so we're down to, I don't know, maybe a gallon, even less. So again, folks, thanks for checking in. Three Rivers Outdoors. We are exhausted right now, but again, we're ready for the amazing taste of homemade maple syrup. Stay tuned, and we'll follow up here maybe today, maybe tomorrow. We don't know. Depends on how much energy I have. Gotta work. Hey everybody, it is the next day. I had to put this away to get some sleep, and started it again just about a half an hour ago, 20 minutes ago. So as you can see, right now we're about at 170 degrees. We need to get to 219 before it becomes maple syrup. So we've got a long way to go. I don't know if I'm gonna have time before work. One of the things that I have learned, you can just leave this kind of on the stove. I keep it covered, and it does sort of stay good. I don't believe you have to refrigerate it. I keep the sap outside just because I like to keep that cold. But yeah, this seems to tolerate room temperature well, and it doesn't really affect the taste from what I can determine. But we're getting there. So I'll have a couple updates for you, hopefully here in the next, I guess, couple hours. I'm gonna probably let this go for a little while, and then I do have to get to my office. So thanks for tuning in and watching our channel. We will hopefully have at least an idea to the end of what this is going to measure to kind of give you what the ratio is. Thanks everybody, and stay tuned. So guys, this is where the part where you really have to watch it. And you shouldn't be away from the stove for more than 2-3 minutes at a time. So you could sort of see the difference in the bubbles here. These bubbles are not like a boil of water. These are, they're super hot too. This will burn you if you even get close to it. Let's check our temperature. Right now, we are just under 210 degrees. So really, this is mostly maple sugar right now. This has not got much more water in it. It's certainly not the, I think we started with about 9 gallons or something. I'll have to go and check what we had, but it is really close to being done. So we're going to keep an eye on this thermometer. We're right under 210, and it is about 7:50 a.m. here on a Friday. So thank goodness I have flexible work hours today. Otherwise, I wouldn't be getting this done. So we'll check back here in a few minutes and see how we're doing. 210 degrees. Stay tuned. This is the part of the process where you have to be real careful. You have to have something to stir. I use just a little thin wooden stick because this will bubble over on you if you don't continually kind of knock those bubbles down. And we are awfully close, depending on where I set the burners, to that 220 degrees. So we're getting there, folks. See, we're gonna bubble up here again. And that bubbles over. Let me tell you something, it is really sticky and very difficult to get off of your stove, especially when it's hot. So keep an eye on it and sort of get an idea of what the color looks like. When you turn the heat up, it's going to bubble quicker. That's when you gotta stir. Okay, we can't really stir anymore, and we're at the 219 degrees. Right now, I'm gonna try to turn this down so we don't bubble over, because we are really close. So this, folks, is maple syrup. This is what it's gonna do, and what it's gonna look like. It's almost frothy, like a foam, as you can sort of tell. The temperature, 219 degrees. Will fluctuate downward really quickly when you turn the heat down. But this is it. This is what it looks like. Turn it down to a low, the lowest boil you possibly can. It will maintain that temperature. And it will, I'm trying to get you a shot of the color. It will look like maple syrup. So this is a beautiful maple syrup. This is the early maple, this is the first run, the best color. This is the grade A. Don't believe what they say in the stores. The grade A in the stores is absolutely not the dark amber, hugely dark syrup. If you get a color like this, this is the actual ideal color for maple syrup. This is the first run, the sweetest, the most sugar content. So guys, I am going to stop the video here because there's not really a whole lot else to do aside from a quick filtering, which we use a little paper micron filter, which you can buy online. We typically do it while the syrup is still warm to get out any impurities. We do it right over the jar that we're willing to store it in, which is just a mason jar. Then we put it downstairs in a cool, dark place, and it stays for many years. So folks, thanks for tuning in today to Three Rivers Outdoors. I might show you this filter here actually right before we finish up. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching the maple syrup video. So guys, strained and filtered. We're all done now, and this is the final product. About, I don't know, there's no measurement on this jar. This is exactly half of a quart size canning jar. So it is right about 40 to 1. I just calculated from what I started till now. Very rewarding, tastes delicious. One tip though, let it settle. Depending on what your syrup's like, you may get a little bit of cloudiness at the bottom. That's really nothing. I just want to show you one last thing before we depart. Today's maple syruping in Western Pennsylvania video, how to do it at home. This is a 190 micron filter. They're typically used for paint. I'll give you a little perspective on this. It is so fine that you can still see your finger through it. It's almost like a, oh my goodness, I can't even believe how fine that is. This is awesome. They come in like a 100 pack on Amazon for, I think it was $9.99 or $10. You'll use these for each batch. when you get down to the level we are. They don't fall apart very easily, and they're pretty safe. So this is what we use to filter out the syrup while it's still warm, not hot, but warm. Put this right over your jar, dump your syrup in, throw away this filter. All your impurities are out of it. It certainly is out of it because you've boiled it, and you've now got some amazing maple syrup. So again, this is awesome. Stay tuned while we finish up, and again, guys, Three Rivers Outdoors, thanks for the maple syrup episode. We love doing this, and hopefully you'll try it at home too. Take good care.